Hey everybody, welcome back. Now it's been a hot minute since my last video. That is because for the last several months I have been hard at work at the upcoming 10th edition of the California Gun Laws book. For those of you that are not familiar with the book, it is a comprehensive sort of treatise, I guess you can say, on everything a California gun owner would need to know to make sure that they stay out of jail. And it doesn't just cover California gun laws, of course, it does cover applicable federal laws, as well as any local laws that may be at issue. So if you haven't seen that already, check it out. I'll post a link in the description. 10th edition is finally on its way to the printers, and it is available for pre-order. It should be coming out here in the next couple months. Of note, I will say that this edition of the book that we're doing now is probably the most, I should say, has the most substantial number of changes from the prior edition. Of course, we have the Bruin decision, which lays forth a new legal framework for Second Amendment litigation. But more importantly, it does away with California's good cause requirements in the sense that the law at issue in the Bruin case was practically identical to California's version. And so now that has had already substantial impacts here in California. A number of jurisdictions that were not previously issuing CCWs have now started to do so. I am, of course, riding in Santa Cruz County. I have been informed through several gun owners in the area that they have now been able to obtain a CCW. There are, of course, other counties which are dragging their feet. Alameda, Santa Clara, San Francisco, just to name a few. But we're hoping to eventually get all of them, force all of those counties that were previously may issue to become now shall issue counties. We're, of course, expecting a number of fights on various issues. Things like, what exactly does it mean as far as California's requirements are concerned for when a person is considered to be of good moral character? Of course, it will be very difficult, I would say, for a issuing authority to apply a standard that it tried applying for its good cause standard in a similar fashion, because under Bruin now, it's been made clear that people have a right to carry in public for lawful purposes, including self-defense, and that right is protected by the Second Amendment. And if a state is only going to allow people to carry in the form of a concealed carry license, they have to issue that license based off of objective criteria. They can't just apply subjective criteria like, oh, you know, I don't like the person, therefore I don't want to give them a CCW. No, it has to be like, you know, this person's prohibited from owning or possessing firearms, so obviously we can't issue them a license to carry a firearm. You know, stuff like that. But we'll have to wait and see how that plays out in a number of counties. We are, of course, considering legal challenges to various counties as we move forward and after following the Bruin decision. The gun laws book, though, going back to that, I would say probably the biggest change this year, or at least the most substantial fundamental change this year, is the adoption of the new federal regulations defining framer-receiver. Now, that is a very simplified description of what the new federal regulations actually do. They do, of course, redefine what is considered a firearm framer-receiver, but there are, of course, a number of other changes that those federal regulations have now adopted. And that basically is sort of like the groundwork for any legal decision, or I should say legal statute regarding firearms, because you got to know what a firearm actually is to know what's actually being regulated. So, of course, that has had substantial impact on the sort of groundwork here in California. And, of course, California, in response to that, has basically now prohibited the sale of any what you would normally consider an 80% receiver, California now prohibits the sale of such receivers if they're not regulated under these new federal regulations. And so what that means is that if the 80% receiver in question is not treated as a firearm under the new federal regulations, meaning it's still considered something that's not a firearm, but California nevertheless considers it a quote-unquote firearm precursor part, then it is prohibited for sale generally in the state of California. So those changes and a number of other changes are now in the upcoming 10th edition of the book. I'd encourage you to check it out if you haven't done so already. For those of you that are wondering, I am, of course, on a different bike than I have been in the past. This is my sportier R1250 RS. It's great for riding around here in the Santa Cruz Mountains. Much lighter, much more maneuverable, I would say. Much more, definitely a more of a twisties type bike, which is great. And I've got this fancy little system on it. I've got a radar detector mounted under the nose. And you can't see it now because my phone's got a different screen up for some reason. But using that with another system for JBV1, just nothing wrong with riding with as much information as possible, making sure you stay out of trouble. I'll take some photos of it and I'll show you guys how I've done that. And then, of course, I will say I am riding with a local motorcycle club here in San Jose, the San Jose Dons. If you are a motorcycle enthusiast and a firearms enthusiast, love to meet you. Come out to the club meeting, usually the first and third Wednesday. I'll post a link to the San Jose Dons website if you guys are interested. And then, of course, we've also started a CRPA chapter here in San Jose. We've been pretty successful so far. We've had a couple of meetings. We are meeting at the Los Altos Rod and Gun Club, which is not very far from where I'm at right now, actually. Usually the first Saturday of the month. This upcoming meeting in December, we're actually going to try and have our meeting, I should say, at a city council meeting that's going on in the area, just so everyone can sort of familiarize yourself with the process at the local level and get involved at the local level and to know how to basically get involved. And then that's really what the goal of the CRPA chapters are, is to there's of course the big federal issues, the state issues, but what a lot of people don't realize is we're all individuals. We can't take on the world by ourselves. And trying to make a change for the better starts with making a change oftentimes in a very small way. And we've already had some success at the local level, educating our group members, who in turn then go to educate city councils that are considering passing firearm laws at the local level in some form or another. And you'll find a lot of the time these council members have absolutely no clue on what some of this stuff is. And I will say this, I have been practicing now for over 10 years, almost exclusively in the field of firearm laws. And I am very good at what I do. And I'm not saying that to sort of stroke my ego. I'm saying that so when I tell you that there are even times when I do not understand some of these laws that these legislatures pass or come up with, you take my full meaning. And so, California Gun Laws book is a great resource to get educated. If you're considering getting involved or you want to help out, I strongly recommend checking out your local CRPA chapter. And again, don't try and change the world by yourself. There are many things that you can do to help the cause, to help the fight, to keep the Second Amendment protected, and to promote it for future generations. Oftentimes, as simple as just taking that person that's never fired a gun before, taking that person to the range for the first time and showing them what it's all about. So I'm going to try and keep posting more videos in the future on various topics. If you guys have suggestions for topics that you guys would like me to discuss in any of these videos, I would be more than happy to take them. I'm glad to see that a number of you have, of course, seen a number of my videos regarding firearm rights restoration and have used that information to your benefit. I'm happy to see that. You know, I'm doing this all just out of you know, my free time kind of thing. I'm not trying to make money. I'm not trying to take your money or do any of that stuff. I just want to educate people as much as I can, because unfortunately a lot of the times you'll find in stuff like this, there's really no one out there that knows what the hell they're doing. And so, you know, having that knowledge ahead of time, I think is very beneficial. And, you know, I will say that if I can educate you guys on these issues ahead of time without you having to reach out and hire me, that frees me up to work on other issues that we have to deal with. And I have a lot of work on my plate, so I would much prefer you guys have the information you need and do what you can with it. But I am always, of course, happy to help out any way that I can, and we are always available. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. helpdesk@michellelawyers.com, or you can call the office line 562-216-4444 for any of your firearm-related questions. And then, of course, if you're in the area, like I said, you could come see me right at the San Jose Dons or at the CRPA San Jose Chapter. Be happy to speak to you. Happy to ride with you. In the next video, I'm going to be talking about an issue that has actually come up a number of times, and one that we've now updated in the book, having to do with firearm estate planning issues, specifically things like gun trusts and other issues such as that you may be considering if you're wondering what to do, how to do it. I'm going to lay out some groundwork for you guys just so everyone has a basic understanding of what you need to be concerned about. So, thanks for joining me. See you guys on the next ride.